Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? Oh, I just woke up a little bit ago. My plan had been to lay down for an hour. And I laid down about... What time did I lay down? I'm trying to think. I laid down at 10. I was going to get up at 11. And, it's hot in here. Now, every time I say some of those things, like, it's hot in here, I think about the comment that I got at the consistencies of my vlog, which cracked me up. I was going to get up at 11, and I was going to vlog, and then I was going to listen to a bunch of my audiobook, because I finished today. Well, first of all, it's 2:24 a.m., and so that didn't happen. I slept 11 to 12, 12. I slept 3 extra hours, but it was really nice. It was super cozy. I finished Make Your Bed today. I gave it 3 stars. I'll be doing a review on my Peterisms channel. Not my BookTube channel, because it's the book that I read from my Peterisms channel. I did not love it. It wasn't horrible. I mean, it was like So, the reason it's called Make Your Bed is it's by this guy that was a Navy SEAL for like 35 years, I think. 25, 35 years. And, he gave this commencement speech at the University of Texas. And the commencement speech was 10 things that he had learned by being a Navy SEAL that you could apply to your life, right? And the first one was make your bed. And so like each chapter would start with, if you want to change the world, make your bed. Or if you want to change the world, don't ring the bell. Or if you want to change the world, don't be a sugar cookie, and all this kind of stuff. And so then he would go in and he would like explain what each of these meant. And it was good. I mean, like, they were fine. I felt like I didn't really understand some of them. I mean, they were really basic ideas. But he would start off by talking about something that he learned in training, and then just like would kind of switch in the middle of the story, and it would go to like an example of like when he was in Afghanistan, for example. And then it would switch back to training, and then it would tie up with the lesson. And the lessons were good, but like literally the book could have been him just reading the lessons and like giving like a paragraph explanation. And the idea of make your bed every day is that you wake up every day, and if you make your bed, then you're starting your day having like achieved one thing every day. Like you've completed one task before your day has even started because you've made your bed. And it's also this idea of preparedness, of like he goes in and he talks about, you know, like everybody that he's ever known that's been like really successful is somebody that like gets up and makes their bed. And he goes back and talks about like in training, like how he like, you know, had to make his bed, and they would, you know, take the quarter and flip it onto the bed and to see if the bed was made appropriately. And he talks a little bit in there, I think, about like how you dress for the day and like getting up and getting ready for the day and things like that. It's just basically about that, and that you're more apt to be successful and achieve things throughout the day if you start your day with like one task completed. And he talks in there about like holding, like his example, I can never get this heat right in here. His example is that when they caught Saddam Hussein, like his where he was, and if like his job was to like look over Saddam Hussein, and that he goes incidentally, like he's explaining a story, and it goes in depth about Saddam Hussein and these people that come into the room, and that they were still afraid of him, like the new regime and stuff like that. And But he was like, incidentally, like, I noticed that he never made his bed and that his sheets were like rumpled at the end of the bed. Which, you know, is an interesting thing to me because, like, this whole bed idea, like, for the majority of my life, I was raised by a mother who was like, make your bed. I was raised by a father that was like, make your bed, right? Like, both of my parents, that was like a huge issue. And, I mean, not a huge issue, but that was like, it was a rule in our house. And not only that, but, you know, my mom, who always had a bed that was like, you know, duvet cover, pillow shams, pillows. I mean, she always made her bed. It looked, you know, beautiful every day. And my dad, you know, even when he was like single and whatever, would always like make his bed, and it was very nicely made every single day. You know, that was just something that you start your day. You start your day like getting up and taking a shower and putting on clothes and then you're ready. Like my mom, I can remember when I was younger, she didn't always get up real early, but like when she did, she'd like roller set, you know, steam set her hair with like steam rollers and, you know, have a cup of coffee, and then I'd say, you know, where are we going or something, and she would say, well, we're just getting ready in case we want to go somewhere, in case, you know, something comes up, and then you're just ready for the day. But, you know, like, so I've always been like that until I met Alex, and then Alex, and I will say recently, like, I'm the last one to get up, so I've been making the bed even before I read this book, because Alex started like making the bed on the days that I was like gone. He would like get up and make the bed. But before that, I also think it's different now because like we have like the same like comforter and stuff like that. If you watch my vlog for a long time, like, you know, we each had our own like comforters, and it was just like a comfort thing, because I had my blanket that I liked, he had his blanket that he liked, and whatever, and that was just it. But we went and got like one huge comforter, and we have new bedding and all that kind of stuff, which is nicer, honestly. So it's easier to like make the bed. But when I met Alex, like, Alex didn't like, he would say, I don't like getting into a made bed. And, which I think is interesting that he just kind of like changed like, as he got older. But one day it just kind of changed. But he would say, I don't like getting into a made bed. So like, I would make the bed, and then before he would get into it at night, he would like pull it all out, and, you know, so it was like more comfortable. But I don't think it's necessarily about like how you like to get into bed or how it's comfortable. I think it's about presenting, you know, for the day, or accomplishing a task. And I do think there's truth to that, you know. So all of the lessons in the book were fine. They were like all great lessons. Do I think they were lessons? Like, did I have any aha moments listening to the book? No. You know, there was a chapter in there about, like, don't be afraid of the sharks, and it was about bullies in life. And, I think, like, if you had a military background, I think it would make more sense or be more enjoyable. But I don't have a military background. Like, Tanya's son, it would be great. Like, he would love it, I think. But, like, a lot of it is very military-minded. 1. 2, to listen to it on audio, like, just a very dry presentation, but he's a military guy, you know? And I think it's cool that he read his own book, so it is what it is. And some of the stories were cool, and I mean, a lot of it has like resonated and stuck with me. This is the other thing, is it goes in and there's like this long intro, and then the 10 stories are very short. They're like, I mean, probably less than 10 minutes each. And then it goes into, well, not even that, it can't even be that long, because that'd be longer than the book was. And then it goes in, and the last chapter is called The University of Texas, and it's his doing the commencement speech, which is the 10 lessons. So after you get the intro about the 10 lessons, you go in and you hear the 10 lessons, and then you get the commencement speech, which is the 10 lessons in their shortened version. I don't know, it was, I remember years and years and years ago, my mom got me, it was a very cool version, but it was, Maya Angelou's poem, And Still We Rise, because it was the inaugural poem for Bill Clinton. And she got me like a very special version of it. And I almost feel like this book would have been better, like as a version of that, like with the 10 rules written in it, if that makes sense. Deer crossing. So I think it would have been cool that, you know, but it was whatever. So now I'm listening to The Hand on the Wall by Maureen Johnson, which is the trilogy to, oh, it's the third, I don't know if it's the trilogy, I don't know if it ties it up. Somebody told me it ties it up. I don't know if it's the third part in a trilogy. I don't know if it's a continuing series after this, but it is the third book in the Truly Devious series. I really like it. I think it's going to be the final book because they're going in really in depth and explaining what happened with like okay, so if you've never read the Truly Devious series, it's a fantastic series, okay? And it's about this girl named Stevie, which of course I love because it's one of my favorite names in the world. I always said if I had a daughter, I would name her Stevie. But it's about this girl named Stevie, and she gets to go to this boarding school. Now I have to tell you, when I started it, I was having a hard time getting into it, as you know, if you watch my vlogs regularly. But I'm kind of like into it now because I've listened to like an hour and a half, almost 2 hours of it, I think, at this point. So she goes to this school called Ellingham Academy, and it's this boarding school, and I can't remember how she gets in, but she gets asked to come, or I don't know, something happens, but anyway, or she applies, I can't remember, but her parents are real normal, and they're not like wealthy or anything like that, and she wants to go to school, and it's this boarding school in upstate Vermont by Burlington. Is that upstate? I don't know, but it's by Burlington. And it's just on this beautiful campus, and it's like kind of for like rich kids, and each kid has some like really kind of bizarre thing that they're very, very good at. Like each of them are kind of like I was thinking of what that word is, like what's the savant, when you're like really like you're so good at like one thing, like piano, or like oh, I don't know, like putting together like, I don't know, you know, resistor batteries, is that what it is, or radios or whatever, you know what I'm talking about? Like you're really good at like one specific thing, but all these kids in there, they're like not great. It's like they're really good at like kind of bizarre things. Like some of them are real artistic, and some of them are this, and some of them are that. And Stevie is really good at like solving cases, like solving murders and mysteries, and solving mysteries, like crime stuff. So she goes there to study that, which is kind of funny if you think about it. You know, like she's in high school, and she's studying like how to be a detective or whatever. It's just really well done. And so when she's there, oh, the reason the Ellingham Academy is like super famous is because before it was Ellingham Academy, it was this guy's house, and he was like a billionaire or something. And he would have all these lavish parties out there. And it was like the times of Dorothy Parker and stuff like that. And it was like the 40s. And he had a daughter that went missing, that has to this day never been found. And so all of the books go back and forth between what happened then and what happened now. But there's also like mystery that occurs today as well. Like, I mean, and right out of the gate in Truly Devious, which is the first one, like, I mean, it happens right away. It's really, really good. And she's kind of an outsider. She doesn't really fit in, but then she does. So, I mean, it's not like a Mean Girls book or anything like that. It's like, I mean, everybody's kind of cool with each other at this Ellingham Academy. But anyway, it's just really, really good. And so she's kind of trying to figure out this whole mystery. Going into the third one, she says she figures it out, but she doesn't say anything. So I think, like, they're going into, like, the history, and they're kind of explaining what she found out through that. But I don't remember the second one enough to remember if she solved it in the second one, but I think she did. I think I remember thinking to myself, well, what's going to happen in the third one because she solved it. So they kind of, I need to go and like, I need to find a booktube video where they like spoiled, I'm going to actually do that after I vlog tonight, where they spoiled the second book because, and spoiled meaning that it shares the secrets that are in there. I know I said I wasn't going to do this on here, but anyway, talk about books. But that's where I'm at with it, because I'm kind of like, I can't remember what happens at the end of the second book. I mean, I remember what the second book is about, but I don't, and I remember what happens in the second book. But if you, this is what's weird though, had you asked me like 3 weeks ago what happens at the end of the second book, or in the second book, I would have been like, I wouldn't remember. So, yeah. So I'm gonna try to finish that, and then if I finish that book, my goal is to read 8 books a month, and I read 9 last month, which means this month I really only need to read 7 to catch up. I'm behind. I think Make Your Bed was my 13th book this month, which when I finish The Hand on the Wall, that'll be my 14th, and then I'll have 2 books to read after that. So I'll be like a book behind, or 2 books behind. I'll probably finish another book this week. I'm gonna try to pick something shorter, which I know is kind of cheating, but oh well. And was talking to Mel again today about the trip. We are getting so excited. We are getting so excited, and we just can't hide it. I know. You guys, I don't really realize while I'm vlogging how long I've vlogged for. Like, I don't in my head consciously go, okay, I did this long, I did this long, I did this long. Sometimes I do. Like, typically, if it's shorter, I think to myself, okay, I've done like 2 full recordings, which is about 23 minutes and so many seconds. So I know that that's like 46 minutes. And so if I'm doing a shorter vlog, I'm like, okay, that's somewhat of a shorter vlog, right? Like that's not a bad vlog. For my channel. Because my channel vlogs are long, you know. But like when I go over that, like if I go over an hour, I really have no idea how long I vlogged for. And so like last night I sat down to like start piecing, or this morning I started piecing it together, and I was like, oh my god, I did not realize that this vlog was so long. And I have been filming some really long vlogs lately. Like they have been like an hour and a half long. I don't know if you guys like that, if you enjoy it. I really haven't looked at the retention rate on the minutes that people watch it, but I will tell you what's interesting is a couple of people have talked to me and told me this. Valerie, my friend Valerie was one of the people. Oh, by the way, I won $1,600 last night. Oh my god! So yeah, and it happened like right when I walked in too. I like sat down at this machine, and Valerie was like sitting, it's like on this kiosk, and Valerie was sitting across from me, but like on the other side, so I couldn't see her. And I sat down, and like 10 minutes in, I hit, it was like 978 or something. And I had like 40 bucks in there. So that was like 1,000. And then, I kept on playing that same machine. I like couldn't believe it. I like went over to Valerie. I was like, oh my god, Valerie, look at my ticket. And then there's this other woman that we know that goes there sometimes. She's like, show me your ticket. And so I was like showing her my ticket. She was so excited. But then like 10, 15 minutes later, it was like really close. I hit like 530 something, 535, 534, something like that. I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is crazy. So we had a fun evening, and then we played for a lot longer, and then I was like, okay, I have to go home. And then I was just gonna say something, and then I got onto the Valerie thing. Oh, about the length of the vlog. But Valerie said this to me, and then a couple other people said this to me, and I thought, okay, that makes sense. But Valerie was like, yeah, I don't typically watch your vlog, like, because she watches my vlog, like, every day. She's like, I don't typically watch it, like, all in one time. She's like, I watch half of it, and then I'll come back and watch, like, half of it later, because it's so long. And she's like, I usually listen to it while I'm doing other stuff around the house, which is, I mean, fine, but, so, hi, Valerini. How are you doing, Valerini? She's my pal. She's my gal pal, Valerini. What was I gonna say? What did I do today? Peter, what did you do today? Okay, well, I got up today and slept in a little bit because I went to the casino last night, and it was hard moving this morning. And by hard moving, I mean I was lacking motivation. And I got up and did my face morning routine of all of that and my meditations and all that stuff. And do you ever just feel sluggish? I just felt sluggish this morning. I mean, like, real sluggish. And by morning, I mean like noon. I just felt sluggish. I just felt like, ugh. Like, by the time I walked downstairs after I did my face stuff and everything, it was like 11:30, 12. I just was like, oh my God. And so, started rendering. I didn't render or upload my vlog last night, so I started doing that when I got up. And sat there for like an hour going over like every Airbnb in the Phoenix area that's still available, because now the problem is that many of these Airbnbs that I had my eye on are gone. So there's that. And then what else did I do? Let the dogs outside. It was rainy today. It was kind of like misty, rainy. And they didn't really want to be outside a long time. Boo Radley wasn't feeling great today. I'm kind of a little worried about him, because Alex said that he was having diarrhea earlier in the week. And then today, he wouldn't eat a treat when I gave him a treat. He like sniffed it like he wanted it, but then he wouldn't eat it. And then tonight, when we put his dinner in his house, because he eats his dinner downstairs in the crate, like that's, we put Tucker's plate upstairs and we put Boo's plate, because we separate them when they eat. And Boo Radley wouldn't eat any of his food, so we brought it up after a couple minutes. And then later in the evening, Boo Radley came downstairs and he ate like a fourth of the plate of food, because I put it back down for him. He seemed fine. He didn't seem like he was like sick or upset or anything, but like he just didn't want to eat. I don't know. When I took the vet in for his teeth, the vet was like, yeah, his teeth are horrible, but it's not going to keep him from eating. He'll eat. So I don't know. Their checkups, their annual checkups are coming up. I think their annual checkups like are right at the beginning of March. So I'll probably schedule those for when I come back for Phoenix. Little guys, little dudes, they're so sweet. No matter where Tucker is on the bed, he is like laying on that comfort blanket that Jennifer made for us. He's so sweet. And Alex in the morning, before he leaves for work, because Alex always like, you know, kisses each of the dogs, and then he comes over and he kisses me, and then he leaves. Alex always takes the blanket. Oh, it's gonna stop, hold on. Okay. Alex always takes the blankets and he covers up each of the dogs with them. Isn't that so sweet? I just got this like flash of a memory. Has ever happened to you? I don't know why. It's like, it's 39 degrees outside, but it's kind of nice. Like when I walked outside tonight, I was like, it's kind of nice. It's like early, it feels like spring. It feels like early spring, like it's spring here almost. And I was thinking about like days when I, you know, was growing up, or like early evenings. I can remember my mom, we never had, I'm like thinking about this. I'm like, did we ever have a coffee pot? Okay, so we never had a coffee pot. That can't be right. Now, at our condo, she did. My grandma always had a coffee pot. My mom never had a coffee pot. Like, that seems so weird to me. Well, she drank instant coffee mostly. But my mother, every single day, are you ready for this? Oh, well, I mean, I'll tell you why I know. I just realized it. The 2 ways that she made coffee, every single day, almost every single day. Well, she drank, okay, so my mother would get up and she would do like Sanka. You guys remember Sanka? But that was decaf, I think. She had a different kind of coffee that she would make, the instant coffee. Do people drink instant coffee anymore? I have instant decaf in my refrigerator because like it's like old. Because like a year ago, I got craving like instant I just was like, if I ever want a cup of decaf, then I have it. But I started craving decaf. I know why my mom never had a coffee maker. Okay, I just remembered it. So we had one of those. Do you guys know those, like in a sink? When I was growing up, it was a really big deal. Like, you would have a sink, but then to the right, you would have like the thing with the hose that you could spray the sink out with. Do you know what I'm talking about? We have like one of those now, but it didn't look the same as the one that we had when I was growing up. Okay, but my mom had that, when the house was built, she had that replaced, and so she had a hot water tap on there. So you would it was like this big knob, and you would turn it, and it was boiling hot water at any time. So she would take her mug, and she would put a tablespoon or whatever of instant coffee, and then she would just have coffee. So she never, do you guys know what I'm talking about, those hot water tap things? It was like boiling water at any time. And so she would do that. Or my mother would do the drip, which I just bought one of these things a couple years ago because I wanted one, and I have not hardly used it since, but it does make fantastic coffee. It's the glass thing, you know, that looks like an hourglass, and then you drip the coffee in there. My mother loved that. More for like dinner parties. Like if she had dinner parties, she would do that, or for like us, because my mom, you know, my mother did not bake. She she did bake, but she didn't bake well, I should say. Nothing that she would always talk about how she'd say, I like the burned ones, because she burned like every cookie she ever made. But my mother was a great cook. Like, she made certain meals very well. Other things were disaster, but certain meals were pretty good. And so she would, you know, she would have kind of like fancy dinner some nights for us, or even if it was just like a chilly dinner, she would like light the candles in the fall and try to make it nice, and, you know, have nice music playing, and then we would watch Little House on the Prairie or whatever. But then she would sometimes after dinner, she would make coffee in that thing because she loved that thing. But my mom also, she would make coffee in a percolator, and it's time for the percolator. It's time for the percolator. But I loved it, and she would make decaf coffee, and she would let me have it when I was growing up. And I remember we read the book together. Oh, no. We watched the movie. I think we read part of the book together or something. I'm starting to realize that, like, the older I get, like, I don't remember, like, I used to, like, have crystal clear memory of how things were. I don't, like, anymore. On memories like this, I just don't. Which makes me kind of sad, you know? Because, like, I'm the only one to remember them. I almost got a little teary-eyed there for a second. But we had watched A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, Betty Smith. The Betty J. Smith book. I haven't watched that movie, I don't think, since then. I should watch it. But it's about this little girl in New York City, and she's very, very poor. And her dad dies, and her mom has to, like, take in people's laundry to support them. And, like, they live, like, in these, like, really small apartments, and in the middle of it, like, a tree is growing up. That's what I remember about it. But I don't really remember much about the book other than that. But the mom would put, like, she had a special trick to her coffee, and she would put vanilla in her coffee. And I remember my mom and I would, I don't know why, I just got triggered by a memory. And we would, that would be like our special, like, Tree Grows in Brooklyn coffee that we would talk about when we would make decaf in the percolator. I just got triggered by this memory. I remember I took this class in high school, and it's called novels. I took it like 2 semesters, I think. And novels was just, you read novels, that was it. And then you, like, you didn't even, like, write a paper. You just sat down with the teacher for, like, 10 or 15 minutes, and you just, like, had a conversation with her about the book that you read. I mean, it was, like, the most simple. You would think I would love it, right? I hated it. I ended up hating this class. I was so excited about it. Like, I knew as a sophomore that it was a class that existed, and I was like, maybe it was only 1 semester, I don't know, but I was like, I cannot wait to take this class. This is like everything I dream of, right? It was horrible. And the books were really long too. But I remember, like, when I got in that class, and oh, this was the thing. Like, once you started a book, you couldn't trade it in. So you couldn't, like, start, you know, like, Farewell to Arms, and then, like, get 100 pages in and be like, I don't want to read this, I want to read something else. You had to finish the book. So, this light is always so long, and it kind of spooks me because I'm, like, out in the middle of nowhere at this four-way cross out kind of in the I mean, there's stuff around, but it's kind of like, there's not a lot of stuff around. And it's foggy kind of out tonight. Not super foggy, but a little bit. But anyway, I remember all these people in the class. Like, I got in there was like this big bookshelf that had all these books on it. And we had, oh, that was the other thing. We had to read, like, we couldn't get a book at the library. We couldn't bring a book from home. I thought we could read whatever we wanted to read. No, we had to read books that were in that class because those were the ones that the teacher had read, right? So I'm going through there and I'm like, I've read half these books, and in all honesty, like, I didn't want to read something. My mom had me read a lot of books when I was growing up. I didn't want to read something that, like, I had already read because I wanted to get excited about the class. And she's like, you can pick whatever you want. So all these people were like, oh my God, you should read Cold Sassy Tree. You should read Cold Sassy Tree. It's such a great book. Cold Sassy Tree, Cold Sassy Tree. I must be thinking of this because tree grows in Brooklyn, Cold Sassy Tree. So anyway, I get this book, and I'm so excited to read this Cold Sassy Tree. I think it's going to be the best book in the entire world. I don't even remember it. I don't remember one thing about it. I don't remember I remember nothing. I mean, I remember I read the book, but I don't remember anything about it. Not one thing. I was so bitter at that class. And every book that I read, I hated in that class. And I picked, like, the worst books to read. It was a miserable experience. I remember, like, my senior classes. I know this would have been my junior year because this guy was a senior. So there was, like, this group. Like, my friends and I were, like, different. Like, we were kind of, like, punk rock and different. But then there was, like, another group, and I would say, like, my friends, there was, like, 6 or 8 of us. And then there was, like, another group, and it was, like, and we called them, like, the skaters. Because, like, we didn't skate or anything, but they were, like, the skaters. Like, they really skated, right? And it was, like, 3 guys from, like, each class. So when I was a junior, it would have been, like, 3 guys from the sophomore class, my sophomore class. I literally, in my head right now, I can remember their names. I mean, that is so weird. And you know my friend that watches this vlog, she would, like, if I said, like, I should say their initials just for her because I'm not friends with any of them on Facebook. Nobody could ever track it down to anybody that I know, but it was like, this guy, his first name started with a T, and then there was another guy whose name started with a B, and then there was another guy whose name started with a D, and I thought they were all super cute. And then in my grade, I feel like there really weren't. There were a couple from my grade, but they weren't, like, any of them cute. Not really. And then all the skater girls were from my class. And by skater girls, I don't mean skater girls that, like, skated. I think we had, like, one. I mean, like, girls that, like, followed and dated the skater guys. And then when I was a junior, my senior year, or when I was a junior, the seniors, there were, like, 3 guys. Yeah. And they all hung out together, and they all hung out with these skater girls, and these skater girls were all friends together, and there was, like, a group of 10 of them, and they all hated us. I don't know why, but they didn't like us. Except for, like, there was this one girl, and I always kind of wonder what happened to her, because she ended up going to Savannah Art School, and she was fantastic, and she was real different, and she and I, like, hit it off right away when we became friends. And she moved to Indianapolis from somewhere else, and I remember she made me she made me a cassette tape of all of her favorite music, and the first song on it was Rise by Public Image Limited Pill. And she kind of floated between the groups. Why am I talking about this? I don't know. So long ago. Oh, because I was in a sociology class. I took the sociology or psychology class, and there was this guy in front of me. I really don't remember his name. It was like Andrew, or it was Andrew, because he dated this skater girl from my class. And he was like, I remember, because I had gone to Arizona. I think that must have been the year that I went to Arizona. The summer going into my junior year. It would have had to have been, because he was in my class, and after that he would have graduated. So that must have been like the first summer I went. I don't know. But anyway, that was when I got my Birkenstock sandals. And I can remember, and I had these green suede Birkenstock sandals. And he sat like in the desk in front of me, and I used to think he was so cute. He was real tall. And so anyway, like I had my feet were out like this, and he was real friendly to me. He was real nice. And I remember like he dropped something like a pencil or something down the ground, and he had Birkenstocks on too. And he like reached down and like he grabbed his pencil, and he saw my sandals, and he was like, "Sweet sandals, man," or "Sweet Birks, man." And then he always talked to me after that. I always wonder what happened to him. I sprayed Creed on last night, Creed Aventus, and it smells so good. You know what's crazy to me is that, like, in my heart and soul, like, the music I liked, I mean, I listen to a lot of different music now, but, like, really, like, who I was back then, as far as, like, if you had caught me, like, with my friends, right, like, who I was at my core, I'm not really, like, a whole lot different than that today. Like, the happy, fun, let's sit down and have, like, a real in-depth conversation, and, you know, like, I don't know that I feel like I'm a whole lot different than who I was back then. Like, I'm sure in many ways I'm, you know, very different, but I think that's where, like, you know, ask me that on what is today, the 23rd, 24th of February, ask me the 25th, ask me that on the 25th of February, and I'll say, yeah, like, in my head, like, I don't feel like I've changed a whole lot, and I mean, like, philosophically, like, I don't feel like I've changed a whole lot, like, who I was as a person then, and, like, what I enjoyed, almost kind of like how I would see my mom. You know, like when I was growing up and her high school friends would come and visit, and it was like they were back in high school again. Like, that's what I mean. Like, I don't feel like if I was hanging out with my friends from high school again, I don't know that I would feel like a whole lot different. But I don't have that reference point. But it's interesting because you say something like that. Ask me on February 25th, but then ask me on February 27th, and I would say something like, oh, I don't feel philosophically like I'm like myself at all in high school. And then all the haters come out and they're like, see, he doesn't tell the same story twice. What? They go crazy. They go crazy. It's fodder for my haters. Have to keep them fed. But no, like, I don't know, like, I don't feel, like, in my head, like, a whole lot different, you know, like, it's so weird that this all, because I just had that same thought again. Okay, I just tell you weird stuff has been happening today, but first of all, I just caught this scent of the breeze outside, and Indiana has this smell, and I didn't really know how to explain it to you, but it's a very earthy smell when spring comes around. It's like you can smell the earth. I mean, like this, I don't know if you can see, well, you can't see it because the window's half cracked, but it's like misting outside tonight, and this ground is wet, right? And so, like, I'm driving through, here, I'll show you. You can see. I'm driving through, like, this area of, like, woods right here. Do you see? It's very dark, and it's very earthy and all that. So, but there's a smell about it, right? That smell is like out of focus now. There's a smell about it that's very earthy, and it smells like, all I can explain to you is like spring, right? Like of the ground. And I remember, like, when I was growing up, my bedroom faced the woods. We had this huge woods behind us with a creek and stuff. Well, we would crack our windows open at night, you know, to let fresh air in. Even in the winter we did. I would get up in the middle of the night like this cold, and I would like crank the window closed because it was so cold. We'd either crank out windows, you know. But I can remember smelling this smell, and then my mom like coming down the hallway after I had gone to bed with a cup of coffee. Because when she wasn't drinking, because like she didn't drink every night, you know, she would drink a cup of decaf and smoke a cigarette while she was watching. It's so weird to me to think that people smoked in their houses back in the day, you know. I don't know anybody. I don't feel like I've met anybody in the last 10 years that smokes a cigarette in their house, you know. But anyway, so yeah, but I just think about that, you know, that like there's something about my mom holding a cup of coffee in her like in her nightgown and robe with like the breeze coming in. That's like very safe for me. Like that's like a safe memory. I usually turn around right there, but I'm gonna keep on going. We're gonna go this way through Noblesville. Do you guys want to hear something interesting? I haven't shown it yet on my vlog. Well, I don't know that I will show it, honestly, because it's really personal, but I got a wedding invitation from, I guess, somebody that watches my videos. I don't know, like, there was no note attached to it. It was just a wedding invitation. But it is, guess where they are getting married? In Gilbert, Arizona, which is like basically like 15 minutes from Phoenix, half an hour from Phoenix, which cracks me up that I'm gonna be there, right? But I'm not gonna be there at the same time the wedding's like in April. But I have to tell you, in all honesty, I would totally live if I was gonna be there at the same time that I got a wedding invitation. I would totally show up to somebody's wedding. I like to go to weddings. I used to not like to go to weddings. It was like this joke between Alex and I, because we like, it's a long story, but anyway. Like, do I tell the story? Do I not tell the story? It's kind of a bad story and not really about us, but it doesn't matter anyway. I'm not going to tell the story. I'm just not. But anyway, the short of it is, I've probably told it at one point or another on here. I feel like I've told every second of my life on this stupid vlog. I mean, it's not a stupid vlog, but you know what I mean? Like, I feel, it's my vlog. If I want to call it stupid, I will. But you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I've shared like every second of my entire life on this vlog. But anyway, we didn't get invited to this wedding. Okay, the reason we didn't get invited to this wedding was Shady Boots. But anyway, it doesn't matter because it had nothing to do with the bride or groom. But who we're very dear friends with, and they're divorced, and he's remarried today, and we're very good friends with he and his new wife, and we're really good friends with his ex. It doesn't matter. But anyway, we didn't get invited to this wedding, and like every other person in Indianapolis that we were friends with we got left off the list, okay? By the surly wedding planner, okay, that didn't like us. Anyway, so you should hear my husband tell this story. It is so funny. So anyway, because we got confronted by the bride, like, why we weren't at her wedding. We're like, because we weren't invited, you know? So anyway, it was so long ago. This is seriously like 10 years ago, if not longer. But that night, like, we're getting these like text messages from people, and they're like, why aren't you at the wedding? And we're like, what do we say, right? And I'm like, you know, and like at the time we didn't really know the story. We didn't know what had happened. And I was like, Alex and I were like getting ready to go out that night, and then we knew we were gonna run into everybody that had been at this wedding, right? So I said, I just think it's kind of BS. I mean, like, you know, we even invited them to our wedding or something like, or no, I said, I think it's kind of BS. And Alex was like, well, we didn't, oh, it must have been, did they get married after us? It must have been after us. So it would have been 8 years ago, because we had, yes, their wedding was like right after ours, because he was like, we didn't invite them to our wedding. Maybe they were bitter about that, which that had nothing to do with it. Not to mention we had 30 people at our wedding. They had like 1,000 of theirs. But if you knew the whole story, it's so hilarious, but in retrospect. But anyway, and I was like, well, you know, whatever, blah, 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 whatever. And he looked at me and he goes, I can remember we were literally driving in the car, and he goes, you wouldn't want to go anyway. Even if you got invited, you would be like, oh, I can't believe we have to go to this wedding. And I was like, ugh. And then I started laughing because it was so true. But I do love going to weddings today. I didn't used to like going to weddings back in the day. Oh my Lord. Oh my God. Okay. I swear to God, I felt like there was a period, you know, and like, so when I met Alex, you know, he was 24 and I was 36, right? So between everybody that I knew in my life, that let's say the average age of my friends at that time were 30 to 50, and the average age of Alex's friends were 20 to 40, just guess how many weddings we got to go to, okay? Oh, no. Oh, it gets better. It gets better. Imagine how many weddings we got to be in, okay? Because couples, especially brides, like to use sets, okay? So we round off a set. We look real good, okay? So you put a gay couple in your wedding. That also shows that you're real progressive, see? I used to joke with my friends that would ask us. We always did it, but whatever. So you got one on one side and you got one on the other side, and it looks like a matching set. See, it looks perfect. Okay, but, and so then what would happen is Alex would always get to go to because, you know, he would be on the bridal side and I would be on the groom side because I was older, so for some reason that meant I was on the groom side. But anyway, so he would always get to go to the bachelorette parties. Well, one year, our friends, the bachelorette party, and these were like, they still are, but we just went to brunch with them not too long ago. They're very, very dear friends of ours. The bachelorette party was in Chicago at the Public Hotel. And the girls were getting all dressed up, and they were going out for the weekend, and it was going to be a lot of fun. Friends of mine were flying in from all over the country. I was real excited about it. Well, Alex was on her side, okay? So I had to go over to the guy's side, the groom's side. And the groom's side, God love them, okay? I like these guys, but they're rowdy. And they're like, all like, they do these Ironman marathons, and they're into working out and all that kind of stuff. And whereas the women were going to, what is going on here? Is this big truck backing up out of this, going in and backing up? Oh, it was at the end, and the battery is dying. I'm just gonna keep on talking till the battery dies, and I'll put the other battery in. Anyway, because I do have another battery tonight, but I'm not gonna talk for a whole lot longer. Whereas the girls were going to the Public Hotel and staying in suites and having brunch at fabulous places and going out to dinner at fabulous places and going out clubbing, the guys were not. The guys were renting a RV in the woods in West Virginia and going hiking. Yeah, right. Okay, so there was going to be no cell phone service, and it was going to be a lot of drinking. And I said to Alex, I can't do this. I cannot be in that situation. Like, there's no way. I mean, there's some situations I have learned since being sober that I don't belong in. Like the snake pit for the Indy 500, it's too much. It's too much. It's too much. It's too much drinking, too much obsessive drunkenness in a small area. It makes me very nervous. And I just knew that this was like the bachelor party, and I was like, it was going to be a lot of that out in the middle of nowhere. I wasn't going to have any way to contact my sponsor or, you know, like Alex or anybody, you know? And I was like, I can't do this. So Alex was like, you've got to talk to him. So I talked to our friend, and I said, would you care if I went with her? And I mean, I was so nervous about it. I was so nervous to talk to him. And I was like, yeah, like, you know, I love you, and I really want to come and support you. And he just looked at me, and he was like, he like interrupted me or something. He was like, you want to go to the bachelorette party instead of the bachelor party, right? And I was like, yeah. He's like, dude, don't even worry about it. He was like, just go have a good time. He was like, we're just glad you guys are supporting us. So that was funny. So we ended up going to the Public Hotel that weekend. That was a lot of fun too. I don't know if that hotel still exists. That was fun. Did I even start by telling you guys that I had, of course, everything is going wrong at the same time, okay? The camera is out of focus. I had one of the most, I don't know what is going on that I'm having all of these nightmares, but I had one of the most horrific nightmares tonight that I have had in a long, I mean, I've had some bad nightmares in the last month or two, Because I seem to like be having them a lot lately. And the weird thing is that they're not like consistent nightmares of like where I can go in and kind of figure out what they're about, if that makes sense. Like they're kind of all over the place, but this one was like a horror movie, and from beginning to end I had the entire nightmare. This was like the other night. Do you remember that when I said this? I had the entire nightmare from beginning to end. Okay, I'm back. I had to pull into this. I drive like a couple minutes and then pull into this McDonald's behind here, over here on Planet Fitness. Do you think people leave Planet Fitness and then go to McDonald's and get food? I would. But anyway, yeah, I rolled up my window, but now it's hot in here again. So I was talking about this nightmare that I had. Okay, it was the weirdest nightmare. And I think it was a combination of a couple things, because I had seen somebody that I know, like, I think it was in reference to that coronavirus, like, post a picture of like a gas mask, kind of like a whole face cover gas mask kind of thing. I think it was that, and then I think it was me reading, because I was listening, like when I was around the house, I was doing stuff today, instead of like having a movie on, I was listening to The Hand on the Wall, and it talks about this, this house. Plus, I was looking at all these houses, and I think some of these houses were kind of like, I don't know, kind of reminded me. Anyway, I had this nightmare, and in the nightmare, we were like at some event, and we were like on this ramp kind of thing that went over the event, and we were like watching it. It was like a concert or something, and we were watching it, and Alex had his like head like between like these bars, like this, it was like this ramp, it was like a bridge, but it was like inside this house or like studio or concert hall or something, and Alex had his head like in between these bars, and I all of a sudden, like, you could hear people screaming, and I felt like something bad was about to happen. And then, like, on the end of the bridge, I could see these people. It was just Alex and I in the train, and I could see these people coming across, and they were, like, all dressed differently, and they were all dressed like steampunk. Do you know what I mean by steampunk? Oh, I didn't turn the light back on. They were all dressed like steampunk. Do you know what I mean? And some of them had on those, like, face masks, like those gas mask things. And I was like, Alex, Alex! And he like couldn't get his head out between these bars, and finally he got it out. And so we went running down this staircase. It was like the spiral staircase, which there's a part of that, like a staircase that has to do with the truly devious books. So that maybe that's where it came from, I don't know. And I was like, Alex, Alex! And so we like ran down this spiral staircase, and they were like, it was like, you would go down a loop, and there would be like a door, and then you'd go down a loop, and there'd be like a door to get out. And I was like, and then we heard people coming up the staircase, so we went out this thing, and Alex and I got separated somehow. Alex got taken away, and they pulled over this mask across his face, and it was this really, really weird mask that, like, as soon as they, like, pulled it over his face, it suctioned to his face, and it had like this hole for his mouth, but like the rest of it was like tight, like on his like skin and hair and everything like that, and they were dragging him by his feet, and I was like, Alex! And then like this one person at the very end like turned and they saw me. They were kind of like, it was weird, it was kind of like mutant people that you would see like in an alien movie or something, but I knew they weren't. Like I knew they were just like this group of people. So anyway, I think I need new windshield wipers. My windshield wipers have been acting weird today. So then, oh, that's what I was gonna say to you. 2 weird things happened today. Okay, 2 weird things happened to me today. When I was uploading my vlog, something happened to my computer. I don't know what it was, but it was like I was getting ready to render my vlog, and then all of a sudden, all of the files that were in iMovie were missing. Like all of a sudden. And then, but it was weird. Like, this has never happened before. It wasn't like a bug or anything like that, or whatever you call that in your computer. It wasn't that. It was like, it was the weirdest thing. And then, when I was in my car today, and I was like putting on my windshield wipers, like, this is fastest, then I turn it down, they slow, and then they slow again, and they slowed off, and then, like, you know, when they go on every couple seconds, whatever. But, like, as I turned them down, they got faster and faster and faster. It was the weirdest thing. And I was like, what is, like, that's like two kind of technological things that have happened today that are kind of weird. Like, I mean, obviously my windshield wipers aren't technological, but it just felt weird, you know? So anyway, I don't remember a whole lot of this dream. I just remember that, like, these people were just, like, trying to get me the whole time, and I didn't know where Alex was, and I was trying to rescue Alex, and I would see him, and then, like, I would, like, try to get in, like, to get him out of I knew we had to get out of this house, and I knew this house was, like, kind of in the middle of nowhere, but I didn't know, like, how to get out of this house, and I didn't know how to get him, and we were, like, in, like, underground, we were, like, under, oh, that's weird, because they were talking about that in the book, too, being underground. We were, like, underneath, like, there was, like, a basement, but we were, like, underneath the basement. It was so weird, and it was, like, these people wore, like, outfits kind of like The Purge or Strangers, like the masks and stuff, but it was even scarier than that, and I kept on not being able to find him, and then I would find him, and he'd, like, see me and have this face of fear, like, help me, help me, help me, and I would try to get in there and get him, and, so, I don't know, finally at the end, like, this nightmare went on forever, it felt like, and, like, a whole movie, it was like a whole movie, and I had to, like, figure something out, and I had to, like, solve something to get him, and I did in the nightmare, and then I went and got him, and I was like, come on, come on, come on, come on, and they were, like, running after us, and we got out of the house, and we were, like, running across this field, and, like, it was, like, bright outside, and we were, like, running for, like, away from this house, and, like, I knew we were safe, and I was, like, holding his hand, and then I, like, looked back, and, like, nobody was running after us, and I, like, woke up. And I was like, I woke up, I was like, ah! It was, like, horrible. I had noodles and company tonight, and I ate late, so that might be it, too. I don't know, like, I feel like maybe my eating late has something to do with me having these nightmares. I was watching Cheer while I was eating. Alex is watching The Politician right now on Netflix. I'm almost done with Cheer. I'm on the second to the last episode. See, my windshield wipers, it felt like they just... Maybe there's something wrong with them. I don't know. Maybe I just need to get them fixed. I always think there's something spiritual going on in my life if it's something, like, broken, you know? I do have the ability to laugh at myself, yes. There was something else I wanted to talk about. I can't remember what it was. Not 3 minutes between when my battery died and I pulled over. I was like, oh, I wanted to talk about that, and now I can't remember what it was. Thank you, I appreciate that. Damn it, Janet, what was it? I don't remember. Shoot, it was something, it was a funny story. It was something I wanted to tell. I can't remember what it was. It was something that made me think about when I was telling that wedding story. I don't know. I just passed this place that said donuts and ice cream. I think that's kind of like a weird combination, don't you? I mean, not that it sounds bad. It doesn't. It sounds delicious, but it kind of sounds like a weird combination. There's Dunkin Donuts. I wonder if they have anything new. Oh, I should pull through there and see if they have anything new. But when I come back, I'll pull through there and see if they have anything new. wanted to tell you guys, and I don't remember. Shoot, I don't remember. I don't know, but it's talking about the whole thing with like my mom and the coffee and stuff, you know, it's like, I've really realized lately, I mean, it's something I already knew, but I feel like it's been reinforced. Just how blessed I am to have such a simple life, you know, full of friends and family and the dogs and stuff like that. I've really been missing Pee-Pee lately. It's been really tough, but I kind of am choosing to not go down that road tonight and talk about that. I was getting really upset earlier talking to Alex, and it's just sometimes so weird to me, you know, that he's gone. But you know, even with that, I feel, you know, blessed to have had him in my life. And I just feel really, really blessed for this like simple life that I have of, you know, the fact that I just get really excited to like listen to a book, or by the way, I about died when I saw Melissa in the comment section. She was like, "Oh my God, Peter, I love Billie Eilish too." And you know, I got a message on my Goodreads today from somebody that said that they started watching my booktube videos. I don't think they have any clue that I have any other channel on YouTube, and I like that, you know, that it's not like they came over there as a result of that. It's just like they found me on booktube, and she's like, "I found you on booktube and I love your videos." And she was like, "I friended you, I hope that's okay." And she was like, "I want to join the book club." And I messaged her back on Goodreads, and she sent me a message on Goodreads. I don't know if I said that, but anyway, I was like, "Yeah, absolutely, no, I don't mind at all." I accept any friendship or friend request that I get on Goodreads, any. And I want to go by this little goldfish place down here. Tanya and I have a friend that works in here. But anyway, oh my God, I didn't know there was a huge Goodwill store over here. Well, hey. So this place is like where they teach like kids to swim. There's like a little pool in there. I said to my friend, I said, "Oh, you're going to work?" And she was like, "Yeah." And I said, "Are you ready to get into the pool?" She was like, "Oh, I don't get in the pool." She was like, "Oh, no, I don't get in the pool." I was like, "Why not? I would be in the pool every single day." God, if I had a job where I got to get in a pool every single day, that would be my job. I would love it. But anyway, I don't know what that place is. Barber shop in here. This place right here used to be, we used to come here and you could play trivia while you ate, and I loved it. It's not there now, it's the Ale Emporium, which has great food too. But anyway, is that a church? A bunch of cars in the parking lot. No, it's a med spa. A bunch of cars in the parking lot. That's interesting. But anyway, you know, I just feel like so anyway, I accept anybody's friend request. It's not even a friend request really. I mean, I just go through and like accept, you know. It's funny because like some days I get like 4, and some days I get none, and some days I get like 20, you know, or 30. But I love Goodreads so much. But I just you know, I had this moment like sitting with like Valerie last night. At the end, we were playing by each other, and we were talking just kind of about our lives and stuff. And you know, I was like, I just feel so blessed to have a friend like Valerie in my life. And I guess there was a period of my life, you know, it's kind of like you work all your life for feeling like all of this stuff is important, or to make a certain amount of money is important, or to have this is important, right? Or to reach this kind of financial status or whatever is important. And then I think you get to a point where it's the unworking of that, and realizing that just to have enough is really great, you know? And I love to travel. I love to stay in hotels. But in all truth, that's a luxury for me. That's a luxury item that I get to do. If I didn't travel again, I would still be like, I would still be as blessed with my life as I am. And I was sitting there talking to Valerie last night, you know, and I thought, I just really have a very charmed life. I have really great people in my life. You know, I get up every day and I get coffee. It's not like I go and, you know, my day is like a $300 to $500 day. It's just not, you know, it's like I have a very charmed life. And on top of that, I do get to do some nice things, like go to the casino, like travel, like go and get a massage, like go out to eat. I do get to do stuff like that. But that is not, do you have to go through this way to go to the Dunkin Donuts? But that is not the things that, like, if I had to give up all of that, I would still feel as blessed with the life that I was given. And, I don't know, I'm so happy that I'm at a point in my life where I just realize that all of that stuff is nice, but it's not important. It doesn't matter. It means absolutely nothing, you know? Don't get me wrong, like I just bought a really nice pair of shoes. Do they have any new drinks? Do they have the Valentine's Day drinks? It's not Valentine's Day anymore. The Girl Scout drinks. I want to do another. They don't have anything new here. Their drinks are really good though here. But, you know, I just, I feel really blessed to be at a point where that extra stuff is nice, and I'm very thankful for it. I'm very thankful for it, you know? And I know I say this a lot on here, and maybe it's a reminder for me, I hope. But there really was a time in my life where, first of all, you would never have just caught me in a sweatshirt and a hat. Never, okay? Like, I wouldn't have walked out of the house without, like, my hair being perfect, everything being perfect. Like, I was, like, you know, had to present in a perfect way, you know, and I thought that the things I had, the car I drove, how you saw me, I really felt inside that because all of that is nice. Like, if, you know, I have friends of mine, I have a woman I am friends with, she drives one of the most gorgeous cars I've ever seen in my entire life. The woman has beautiful bags, right? She's one of the least superficial people I've ever known in my entire life. She likes nice things, right? She's one of the most kind-hearted, most compassionate, nicest people I've ever seen in my entire life. She and her husband, when they fly, they always fly first class. When she travels, she flies 5-star hotels. But she doesn't ever brag about it. You would never know about it. I mean, she's just one of the nicest people I've ever, pure heart of gold. Absolute heart of gold, right? And the other thing is that you know about her is that if tomorrow that stuff was all gone, she would still be the same person. And I think that's the difference, you know, is today I realize that like that stuff for a long time I felt like defined me, or it really had value. Like, I really do believe that, like, it had value, not financial value, not in value because I enjoyed having it, but in value of who I was. Like, if I'm carrying, you know, this bag, then what that says is that I'm a better person because I can carry that bag, if that makes sense. Not I'm carrying this bag because I enjoy carrying this bag, or because I like that, you know, but I feel better about myself when I'm carrying this bag or driving this car. Well, what that says really is that I'm an empty person inside. And at that point, I was an empty person inside. Do you know what I mean? And, I'm glad I'm not there today. It's taken me a long time to unwind that. And don't get me wrong, I still like nice things. You know what I mean? Like, I still like nice things. And that's okay. But you know, I have to check myself. And, you know, I think it really started changing, you know, when I went through the whole process of holding an item and saying to myself, do you need this or do you want this? And, you know, if it was toilet paper and I needed it, that was one thing. But if I wanted it, if it was a desire, then I had to ask myself, how bad do you want this? You know? And, you know, I'm at a point in my life today where I can have some of those things that I want, and I don't begrudge myself those things, but I also don't, because life is short, you know, and if you have the money to buy some things or take a trip, you should do it. You should do it. You should enjoy your life. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't make you a better person. Like, this is the other thing I think is important too. It doesn't make you a better person because you don't carry a luxury bag or have a nice car or take a trip because you're, oh, I'm a better person. It doesn't, that's crap, right? If you want it and you can afford it, you should do it. But there were times that I did it when I couldn't afford it because I thought that it meant something, that it meant nothing, you know? I don't know what I'm trying to say, I guess. It's late. I'm just grateful for... I guess what I'm trying to say is that when I walked out of the house tonight and I smelled the air and it reminded me of my mom coming up the stairs with a cup of coffee and the smell of the spring air coming through my window late at night as I was falling asleep, you know, listening to the sounds of the woods with my fan, you know, in the background lightly humming. I walked out into that memory, and what I realized was, thank God for that memory, you know? And it's interesting when I look at the trips I've taken and the memories that I have for those. When I look back at my memories in my life, that like the things that really stand out to me, it's really all about the very, very simple things. I'm looking at this new apartment building. It's really about all the really, really simple things, you know? Yeah. I was gonna say I missed my mom, but you know what? I don't even like know. It's like, it's so weird. It's like been so long. It's like, I don't think of it that way anymore. Like, it's just a part of who I am that she's gone. Which I thought I would never say that. I remember, you know, like, my mom liked nice things, you know? She really did. She was somebody that loved fashion. She had some really beautiful purses and shoes, but she also had very unique style. She didn't like wear like really extravagant or expensive jewelry. She liked like beaded jewelry, or like she would go to little boutiques here and get really unique stuff. But I can remember sitting in her closet at one point, you know, after she passed away, and like, she had this area where she kept all of her purses, and I'm like going through these purses, and she had like really nice, and she had really nice purses, which is funny because at the end of her life, like what I remember her wearing most is like this little black backpack, small backpack thing, or she had like this kind of like, you know, woven Guatemalan deal that she would carry with her. But she had these nice bags, and like looking through these like really beautiful suits that she had and things like that. And like, you know what was funny? It was like, I remembered like one of the bags I had bought her for a present. And I can remember how excited she was about it. Or I can remember a period of time when she carried another purse. Because that was like that era of that purse, if that makes sense, you know? And it was like this red Gucci purse. And then I remember, you know, like different outfits that she had would remind me of certain events or things, you know, that we had gone to together. Or you know, Christmas, she had this leather jacket that she loved I remember, you know, it reminded me of like this Christmas, this one year and whatever. And I loved my mom's appreciation for fashion and clothes. She loved it. She'd sit there and pore over, you know, Vogue and, you know, all kinds of fashion magazines. She loved fashion magazines, and she'd sit there and she would talk about, I mean, everything I learned about, you know, like, appreciation of like couture, you know, atelier designers, I learned from my mother. Like, she taught me that, you know, she would say, now this is, you know, so and so. I can remember my mother like talking about Christian Lacroix long before I had ever heard anybody talk about Christian Lacroix, or, you know, she would talk about Alexander McQueen, or, you know, Betsy Johnson she loved back in the day, you know, or all of these people, Vivienne Westwood, that she loved, you know, and she would talk about like, you know, like she'd show me pictures of these gorgeous Oscar de la Renta gowns and stuff like that, and she had a real appreciation for like the fabrics and the draping and things like that. And my mother loved fashion. She just loved it, you know, and she loved going into high-end boutiques and looking around. But at the same time, you know, that wasn't who she was, you know. That was just something that she loved. And I don't know, I think there was a time in my life where I felt like having those things made me pretty, made me better looking on the inside out. And now if I do get something like that, it's just because I really want it, you know, or because I like it, or I think it's fun, whatever. But I have a hard time spending those shoes that I bought recently. Like, I'm glad I got them, and at the same time I'm kind of like, you know, the reason I got him that day was this, because if I didn't, I would have come home, and I asked the guy in the store, I was like, do they fit the same? Like, can you order like, you know, a 10.5 everywhere? And he was like, no, like 10.5 to the next, because they're like, each pair of shoes made differently. He was like, aren't gonna fit the same. And so I was like, if I don't get them now, I'm not gonna buy them when I get home, and I'm not gonna be able to get them at home in store. So if I'm gonna get them, I better get them now. And I was just like, I'm getting them now. So that was kind of what it was, you know. And it had gone through my head to the point where I was like, I really thought I wanted them, and if I didn't get them, whatever. Now we'll see how much I really wear them. I'm gonna wear them in Miami. I'm excited about taking them to Miami. I think they'll be fun for Ultra and stuff like that, if I even wear them to that. But anyway, something about driving on the road late at night, just like being like the only one out here, you know. It's like, oh, somebody said, I loved this in the vlog the other day. Somebody said that they're like, what makes the vlog so easy to fall asleep to is the hum of the car, which I loved that. I love that so much. I was like, oh my God, that's so funny. I didn't love that. I wish you guys could see, like, as I mean, I know a lot of you listen to this, you don't watch it, but I wish you could see, like, as I'm driving, like, you know, just like patches of fog here and there, or, you know, like, just how peaceful it is as I drive. Like, it's very, very peaceful for me. I think it would make sense as to why I enjoy doing this so much, and why it's like so therapeutic and cathartic for me to just kind of like drive and talk. I mean, it really is like just like a talking diary. Like, half the things I say in here, like the next day, I'm like, unless they're stories, I'm like, do I really feel that way? You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's just like me and Tanya driving around talking. But like Tanya always says, she's like, hey, listen, I'm a human being. I can change my opinion from 5 minutes to the next. But no, it's like just really, it's really, really good for me just to drive around and just kind of like talk about stuff. It kind of like just like soothes my mind, you know? And I love it. So with that being said, I'm going to get off here now so I can listen to my audiobook, because I want to listen to, oh my God, it's getting late. Okay, how long did I vlog for? I must have vlogged for a lot longer than I thought I would. So I'm going to get off here See, I said I always do that, and I do. I'm gonna get off here now and listen to my audiobook. So I hope you are having, what is tomorrow, Tuesday? I hope you are having an amazing Tuesday. It's home group meeting night. I hope you are having an amazing Tuesday unless you have other plans. But like I always say, don't have other plans. Make the most of your day. Do something fun today. Do something exciting. Do something, take a risk. Do something that when you look back on your life 5-10 years from now, that you'll be proud that you made the decision, that you did it today. And if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. I love you. Make sure that you look at yourself in the mirror every single day and you do your daily positive affirmations and you say to yourself, I love you. You are valuable. You are important. You matter. You are worthy of good things. You are funny. You are talented. You are beautiful. You are handsome. And today is going to be an amazing day. And 2020 is going to be your year full of success. You're going to achieve so much this year. And, today's gonna be a fun day. It really is. And most importantly, make sure that you pass it on to somebody else. Most importantly, make sure that you pass it on to somebody else and let them know how important they are to you. Just pick up the phone and let somebody else know. Did you guys write your cards to somebody? Is that what we were gonna do yesterday? I think that's what we were gonna do, right? We were gonna write our cards to somebody and let them know how much they meant to us. Oh, damn it, I didn't do it. I'll do it today. Anyway, let somebody know in your life today. I do that every day. Just let somebody know how much they mean to me. And I do that like pretty much every day to 5 or 6 people. They're probably sick and tired of hearing about how much I mean to them. How much they mean to me. They're like, yes, Peter, we know, we know. I'm that person that says I love you like 1,000 times a day. Why not? Life is too short, right? Say I love you as much as you can. And, make sure that you practice random acts of kindness today, at least just one. I will say this, that in the speech for the University of Texas, in that book I read, Make Your Bed, he says in there that to the class, and I don't know how big the class is, but he says something to the effect of that if each of us affect in our lives just 10 people in a positive way and change their lives, you could change your life in the smallest way, right? And those 10 people go on to change somebody else's life. That in 3 generations, he does the math, and it's like something ridiculous, like 800,000 people's lives would have been affected by those original 10 people, positively affecting somebody's life. Just think about that. Just think about that when you think you do not have the ability to change the world, that on that level, each person that you're affecting positively, if they in turn turn around and they do that to somebody else, I had really never thought of it. I had thought about it to some degree, but I had really never thought about it to that level of those numbers, you know? It just was crazy. So think about, we really do have the ability to change the world with how we talk and think and act and how we treat people, you know? And by building somebody else up, maybe they'll help somebody else build up down the road and whatever. It's like, you know, I always say this, I heard this on Oprah and I believe this, turn your wounds into wisdom, you know? And whenever somebody says to me, you know, like, thank you for sharing your story and now I got sober because of it, and I always say to them, now later, take your story and go help somebody else with it too, because that's all I did. You know, and somebody did that for me, which is why I'm sitting here today. And somebody did it for them, which is why they're sitting here today. And look what happens, you know. And practice random acts of kindness today. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya. And this is the last time I'm not coming back on here. I'm not tonight, because it's got to be a surprise. I love you. Bye. Love ya.